Good morning to
Recording in
everyone.
progress.
So before we could proceed with our meeting today, we normally sit the portfolio committee on Tuesday. That is our allocated slot. However, we were not able to sit on Tuesday because we had there was a house sitting that was starting on 10 o'clock until a later time. And then we were advised that all committees that are sitting on Tuesday, if they're not dealing with legislation or any reports that needs to be adopted to be sent in the House, we should then reschedule and make a request to sit either on Thursday or Friday, which those were allocated days for committees, which was yesterday and today. Hence, we have our portfolio committee today on Friday, which is not a normal slot of correctional, but it was due to a fact that we had a house sitting that started at 2 on Tuesday. But when we come back from recess, we would go back to our normal slot, which is Tuesdays. So I thought I clarify why we're sitting today instead of on Tuesday. So members, I saw the minister. Minister, welcome as well. So members, this is the draft agenda for today's portfolio committee meeting, which is, I think all of us would have received it in advance. And what is proposed for us to have a meeting on, it's the briefing by the department on the Section 49G and the Section 64 applications, including the stats over the 3-year period. And then the last part would be us as the portfolio committee outside the department. We would then have to consider and adopt our committee minutes. So this item for today is the last item for the second quarter of our committee meetings. So we felt that we needed to sit today and finish it instead of deferring it to the third quarter or when we open, so that when we start with the third quarter, we start with new items that we would prioritize in the first week of September when we open for third quarter and fourth quarter items. And that should come before the portfolio committee. So hence, again, we are sitting today so that we don't have anything that we defer. We would have exhausted everything that we would have scheduled for the second quarter. So yeah, that is the draft agenda, members. Anyone to move so that then we can start with the meeting?
Yes, I move for adoption, Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Honorable Nchangase. I hope I pronounce his name right.
Thank you, Chair. I
Yes,
move
correct.
to second the adoption.
Mrs. Diale, thank you. There is a seconder. Then we can then proceed with a meeting as the agenda has been formally adopted by the meeting. We'll then proceed to apologies. Sia, have you received any apologies?
Morning, Chair. Morning to members, morning to the ministry. Yes, Chair, we did receive a few apologies. The first apology, Chair, will be from Honorable Engelberg. He is not able to attend today's meeting. From the member sides, that's the only apology we received, Chair. And we also received an apology, Chair, from the ministry. The minister, Chair, requested to leave at least by 11:30. He's requested to present South Africa to present the South African government at the Peru Independence Day celebration, which is today. So the minister is requested to leave at 11:30, Chair, if that is possible. And then we also received an apology from the National Commissioner, Chair. The National Commissioner is abroad in Tanzania attending an SATC meeting. Hence the appointment of the acting National Commissioner, Chair. That's how far my apologies go, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, members. Those are apologies. Do you agree to take them as noted so that we note them as part of our meeting? There's nothing, then the apologies would be taken as noted, Sia. Then we would move to the main item for today's portfolio committee, briefing by the department, which Minister is here. Minister, are you able to lead us on the task for today's portfolio committee and your team?
Good morning, Honorable Chair, honorable members, officials, everyone. I just want to say, for some or other reason, I have an unstable connection this morning. So if I disappear, it's not that I'm leaving, it is just because of the connection. So from my side. From the ministry, apology from my chief of staff, he's not available today. The other members are on the platform. Chair, I'm not going to waste a lot of time. The commissioner and the team from the department, if we put it that way, will come forward and they can put the presentation for discussion through you. And then the normal procedure, it is in your hands. From my side, I only want to say that I think it is important that we note in the presentation that there is meetings or it happens annually, biannually, and everything with the Chief Justice and other provincial judges to see how we can deal with these applications. So I think that is important that members just note that. Thank you, Honourable Chair. I think I saw the DM is here, so I don't know if you want to go through her as well. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson.
DM?
Good morning, Chair and Minister. It is me. I want just to confirm, Chair, I'm here, but I'm okay. I'm covered. But the presentation will be led, like the Minister said, by our administration, which it will show you the backlog in terms of our application that we have submitted, your Section 49G and 62F, and the progress that is made and the little impact that it had. So we are here, Chair. Thank you. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you so much, DM. Acting NC, you can lead us with your team with the presentation.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, Minister, Deputy Minister, and the colleagues here. Good morning once more. Yes, the department is going to lead the presentation on the briefing on the 49G and the Section 42. The presentation is ready. I will now hand over to our CDC from Rimandi Teni, CDC Ramulifo, who will be taking us through the presentation. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson. Good morning, Honorable Chairperson.
Good morning, Ramulifo. You can then proceed.
Okay. Good morning, Honorable Minister, Honorable Deputy Minister, Honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. I'm going to be briefing the committee on the Section 49 and of the Correctional Service Act, and also Section 62F of the Criminal Procedure Act in terms of the Department of Correctional Service court application. This will also include our statistics over the 3 years and also what we have been doing. I'm just going to move to slide number 1, which just to highlight the inmate population, that in terms of the DCS, our total inmate population as at June 2025, we were sitting at 163,179, which will also be covered within the content of the presentation. I'm also going to talk about the maximum length of detention for the remandees who are within the correctional service facilities, both the remand detention facility and the mixed correctional service centers. Further to that, I will also be talking to the initiative by the department in terms of the court referral using Section 49G as part of the strategy, direct strategy to reduce overcrowding or to contain overcrowding within a minimum bed space that is within our policies. Application for 62F, I will also talk to it as part of the direct measure on reduction of overcrowding. I'll highlight the challenges and the corrective measures in line with the statistics. Just on slide 2, just to highlight, I've already mentioned the inmate population that we are sitting at 179. Just that is the overall inmate population as at 30 June. I will also want to just highlight the remand detention in terms of the highest. We are having Gauteng leading as the top with an overcrowding of 16,464 in terms of the inmate population of remandees, followed by Western Cape, 12,785, KwaZulu-Natal, 7,440, Eastern Cape, 6,665, and Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and Northwest, 6,536. In that, we will also just want to indicate that as at June 2025, there were about 71 unsentenced children within the remand facility. It has gone up because at the time when we appeared before Parliament, we were sitting at around 56. So now it has actually gone up. And the sentenced children, it's 41 that are incarcerated in the correctional facilities. I want to also indicate in terms of the bed space, there is a breakdown of our bed space, which is highlighted on the presentation. I won't dwell much on those ones, but we are actually above the set target on the ratio plus the allocation of the units for the bed spacing for the remandees. I'll move to the next slides without not talking much on the sentence because the focus will be on my 49G and 62F. On the 49G, I will just summarize that the Department of Correctional Service, on a monthly basis, we are identifying those who qualify with the court referral for referred to the court that are more than or above 2 years in terms of the initial date of admission within our facilities. We bring this to the attention of the court in terms of a submission of an affidavit that is prepared by the head of the center, which we are monitoring and overseeing on a monthly basis. Further to that, it's only those that are qualified that are not Schedule 7 in terms of the crimes that are immediately before their 2-year expired, they are referred to court. And then if court brings the feedback, we are able to say they have considered. But however, I will be talking to the statistics in terms of the implication. Further to that, on the application of 49G, we are always ensuring that we submit our 6 monthly intervals cases. But we have found that monthly, it takes much longer. We are doing monthly, 6 months, it takes longer. We are doing monthly exchange of our statistics from all the regions and also all the centers. And then we do an accumulative, which is a 6 monthly interval cases. Those range between 2 years to 15 years, which I'll talk to on the slide. Further to that, we also continue to ensure that the head of remand is briefing the management in terms of who are not released so that there can be a further intervention by the National Commissioner. We have already complied in terms of 49G with the directive of the procedure policy manual, which was also submitted to the National Prosecution NPA, so that we can guide the management on how we administrate the 49G. We also manage 62F. I'm on slide 6. I'm moving very fast. I'm on slide 6. We also administrate the section 62F in terms of the criminal procedure, where the court can place a remandee or an RD into supervision of a community correction or a probation officer with additional conditional bail. And that is done together in terms of our policy by an MPA who will add additional condition present before the court in terms of either a 2-year above or they qualify based on that 63 was not granted, but they do qualify, they are able to. This one, we can indicate that we have been trying our best, and our statistics will reflect that there's not much on the prosecution side, that the administration judiciary part, they do not utilize this so much effectively, but I will demonstrate that in terms of the statistics that the portfolio committee has required. But we do have them placed under the correctional service official or the probation officer. And then I will also want to indicate that when the 62F is utilized, mostly it's when the DCS, we initiate the launch of the court referral after we have examined that we have number of times that we have submitted 63A and 63 1 of the criminal procedure and was not considered, especially for the categories of those who got bail of 300. We then attempt again to approach the court to say, is it possible that the judiciary can reconsider those who are above 2 years that can qualify, who qualify, can be placed under the supervision of community correction. But normally we do not get much of positive results. But our National Commissioner on this specific one, he did mention it with the National Efficiency Enhancement Committee when he appeared before the Chief Justice. And we are starting to see some of the improvements, but it's not as much as we wish to see. Just also, I wish to just highlight that the qualification of the remandees, we start by making sure that the 21 months as per the Act who are determined in terms of the admission date or before then, they completed 2 years uninterrupted. We make sure that each region and the region are submitting a court referral application, which is part of what is administrated in the courts. I'm going to jump the slide to move to slide 9 in terms of the determination on those who qualify. In terms of the application that we make to the court, we start looking at 24 months, but in terms of the frequency of referrals, everyone who's 21 months, we start submitting, and then it has to indicate, we indicate the number of referrals in terms of everyone who qualifies. So I've highlighted the breakdowns of the month spent within our facilities, which you will see within the statistics. This is just to support the statistics in terms of how many times have one RD or how many times did the referrals were sent in terms of the procedure. The eligibility, I want to indicate that those who are eligible to be qualifying for court referral for 49G, it is those that have been appearing in court and they've never had any interrupted in terms of them being part of the system and then come back, and the temporary release in terms of those who do not have not been interrupted for temporary release into the custody of South African police, and then also some of the remandees who are temporarily held in our police and the South African police cells. And those categories also assist us to monitor the interruption of those that do not qualify, especially the ones that I've highlighted, the mental health observation, which are part of the state patients. They don't qualify. We do not refer them for court referral unless otherwise the court requires that we do. Some those who are having medical challenges outside the correctional service in terms of visiting various hospitals, we also don't refer them. I just wanted to highlight that even those who have escaped, we do not refer in terms of the guidelines that we are utilizing. So I'm going to move quickly to slide 12 on the overcrowding. This is the impact to the statistics that I'm going to talk to. There are two critical strategies on 49G that we normally utilize. One of the strategy that is indirect on 49G is to make sure that we are interacting with the judiciary before even the 21 months in terms of our submission of placing or requesting to place them on 62F, but it doesn't yield any positive results in terms of the court outcome. It's also being demonstrated within the J7 warrants that you will find that the detaining, the period of length of detention is not even yet considered because of other multiple cases where the inmate will be appearing also on other cases. But I just wanted to say on 49G that there is always an annual continuous detention that we are experiencing, and this is also increasing overcrowding, because this was our instrument to ensure that our overcrowding gets to be reduced. But however, the application in terms of the court side and also the NPA and the South African police for them to object, or the NPA to object, that is also not being dealt with. However, our National Commissioner on regular basis will then submit to the National Commissioner of SAPS and also to NPA to also ask them to intervene. I will also demonstrate that when we I'm presenting on the issues of stakeholder collaboration to deal with the direct measures on this in terms of facilitating collaborations, and the DEFCON, also the cluster. Slide 13, in terms of what we were directed by the portfolio committee, this is where now I am going to demonstrate that the annual performance of 49G for 2022-2023, for Q1, I'm going to talk in terms of the court referral application submitted. We were sitting with a Q1 total of 2,570 applications sent by various regions, The highest was Gauteng with 943, followed by LNM with 412. But I want to just indicate that if you look at the second column towards that, without not me reading all the statistics, our court outcome success is 0 for Eastern Cape. And there is an overcrowding in Eastern Cape. You look at Free State, Northern Cape, out of the 207, only 1. We are not saying the court cannot make decisions within the justice system for the best interest of justice. We are saying at least they can also write and say further continuous detention as a reason for the court outcome, where the magistrate at the lower court, most of them, they are reluctant to put even an outcome due to the gaps which we have already highlighted with the South African police and the MPA, and also the court, Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, in terms of the clerk of courts that are administrating that, to say, besides stamping it, indicate what is the decision. We have seen NNM in the quarter 22-23, they were able to get about 22 court outcomes, which most of them, they were placed under 62F and other conditions. I quickly want to move to quarter 2, which the Department of Correctional Service submitted 3,394, and the overall total there was 47. And if you look at Gauteng, which still had a lot of not available bed space and overcrowding as one of the impact to this direct measure, they only received 1. And I can also indicate that through the intervention of the PEEC meeting, we were able to encourage the region, together with our head office, to start investigating what will be the challenge of not receiving favorable outcome. We are limited to influence the court, but if the NPA who are to object or to oppose, they could assist the judiciary, and also the South African police investigating officers can oppose or support. That can also assist. But those are the things that on a daily basis, monthly and weekly, regions and ourselves, we continuously engage to say the application of the latter for 49G require 3 key stakeholders before the judiciary, which is MPA, DOJ, and also a South African police. And the judiciary can assist with regards to this. So I can just move quickly to quarter 3 on the analysis and also on the court referral. You might have seen that in quarter 3, there was also a decline of a bit of application. We were able to submit 3,027, and the court outcome was 47. So only Free State and Northern Cape on the court outcome feedback was able to receive a positive feedback on the releasing to 62F correctional service supervision or reduction of bail on the length of detention. We moved to quarter 4. On the quarter 4, we were able to submit those who qualified, 3,292, and the total of court outcome success was 33, with the highest being again Free State and Northern Cape. And here I can indicate that the judiciary and DOJ, they have established a task team, and which we have already now, and as present, all the regions have got task teams now in the year of 2025-26, after the assessments that we were doing to establish and determine why there is not favorable court outcome by the courts. And then on the annually, a total of 12,283 with a total of 150 54 court outcome were received, with the highest being LNM, and which was reported during the period period 22-23 in terms of the breakdown as required by the portfolio committee. This is not really a very good progress for that year of 22-23, but it started changing the following year in terms of the engagements that we have, but the court outcomes were still not favorable. We move to slide 14 on section 49G, success for 23 and 24. The quarter one, I can just highlight that we were sitting at 2,452 with a total of 34 cases. The highest in terms of the court referral application was KwaZulu-Natal with a total of 835, with a court outcome that was only 5, followed by Gauteng with 466, with a court outcome of 4. And you can see that the whole year Eastern Cape during the financial year 23-24 was submitting the court applications for 49G referrals, and they were never received a single court outcome. And what we did was that we then zoomed in to investigate what are the challenges that we are being experienced by the Eastern Cape in terms of the committees. We then found that there were some of the committees that were not sitting to be able to hear the court referral on the side of the magistrate, just one magistrate, and the DOJ at the national office and the province were advised, and communications in terms of through our national commissioner and the JCPS cluster and the DEFCON and all levels of different stakeholders forums that we are participating, which the provincial commissioner was appearing on a monthly basis to all the PEEC meetings, raising the same issues, also respecting the independence of the courts, but just to seek to say what will be challenges and areas of how can this be done. But NPA and South African police were also reached out. If you check, there are a number of orders where we did not get any of the positive feedback. I will then move to slide 15 on 49G, which is our length of detention LOD for the financial year 24-25, which we are currently under review submission of our annual report. On this specific one, you can see for our quarter one, we are sitting at 2,615 with a court outcome success of 53, being the highest. KwaZulu-Natal with 812 application and only 6 who could receive a positive outcome. Those vary between those with the less than 1,000 bail, who might have also been qualifying for bail. They are reluctant to put them under supervision, even if they were granted bail, but they could not qualify. And we would like to present to say the RD do qualify for can able to put a 500 rand. They are reluctant to place them at a supervision of a correctional service or probation officers. Just to also highlight how they in quarter one of our financial year last year did not receive a single outcome, and taking note that Gauteng is one of our top priority in terms of overcrowding that is exceeding the bed space in terms of the accommodation facility and the establishment for Gauteng. And I would also want to highlight again that in 2024, we did experience again Eastern Cape and also now LNM, that was LNM is Limpopo, Mpumalanga and Northwest. The whole financial year of last year, they have never received any court outcome that was favorable. And I can also indicate that there are various corrective measures and intervention which the Judge President of Limpopo has established now a task team after our National Commissioner, my office, and also the regional office, RC Tokolo, further engaged through the PEEC meeting and through various sessions that we have been having. So each management area now, they've got a cluster testing priority that they are now sitting before they even take it to the court to look at it. But the whole last year, that is what the department experienced. And this was a bit heartbreaking because this is our direct measure that will assist us to actually reduce overcrowding within the law of the correctional service, supported by the judiciary, MPA, Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, and then also the South African Police assisting us on this one. But those are the two regions that we had so much serious concern. All of them we had concern, but we do have our Free State and Northern Cape regions, which has been fairly going all out the way how we've been with all other regions, but they respond from the judiciary, from Free State and Northern Cape, with those task teams that are all over within each region. They do give at least a cause outcome, even if it's just a continuous detention. That is also an outcome, but it not favor us on reduction, but at least it signifies that the application of the court referral was considered, but the outcome might have not been favoring the department. And I will want to move to this year. I've added Q1 so that when we look at the comparisons of the year 2022, year 2023, year 2024, and 2025 as at June. Now, we are already have submitted April and May and June court application, which if you look at our Q1, we are sitting at 2,326 with a court outcome of 85. And as I've indicated, based on the interventions that we are currently doing within the case flow structures that I will be talking to, for the first time after the whole year last year, Mpumalanga judiciary together with DOJ and SAPS and MPA, they were able to consider one application for a court outcome, and that for us started to showing that they can do more if everything is according to what the judicial magistrates of law courts are requiring, which we are doing to our best. But we still struggled and actually experienced a bit of unhappiness with Eastern Cape. But however, we have highlighted to the executive in terms of the submissions that we do, and also to various clusters, so that this can also be looked at in terms of further consideration. And I just want to break it down to Gauteng on Q1, April month was 290 with no court outcome. And if you look at April this year, there was a number of Operation Shamela happening in Gauteng, which brings the admission of our RDs in a above the bed space. And then our monthly court referrals was not considered. It is followed by Western Cape, and Western Cape had 159, and then 7 were only considered. So if you look at the Free State Northern Cape, still they had about 107 and 170, and only 25 was considered. They've been keeping on progress in terms of the outcome. And then if you look at KZN, it had 97, only 2, and NNM has experienced that in April, a 0, and that for April month, 734 were submitted, with 34 being the outcome which we received. And in May, 761, and 40 was the outcome, with the highest again being Gauteng with a 0 court outcome, and which also I want to highlight that for the first 3 months of Q1 of this year, Gauteng has not received any favorable court outcome. I can use RC Regional Commissioner Gauteng, like Matile, who have several times went to the PEEC meeting and further had a session with the Provincial Commissioner of SAPS, has also met with the MPA in Gauteng as a whole, and he also further went to the courts, various courts, to check how is it that there is none, whether there is a challenge from the DCS side or what is it. He has on a number of occasions said the judiciary is independent, and then the application must be submitted in terms of the court application. But what he did further, as an example, like Free State and Northern Cape, like LNM, like KZN, like also Western Cape, is to establish again a parallel case backlog checks on the court referral in terms of those who qualify, highlighting the length of detention in terms of age analysis. And with that, we also write to the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development in terms of bringing to the attention to say there is a need to be really looking at whether the application of the letter of the law being applied by the DCS on court referral, and what the cluster sisters department on the approach, how is it presented. We also, through Gauteng, trying to say some of the court referral application, let them do them by physically appearing. Select some of the RDs who are also qualifying that they do a physical appearance, and the judiciary, which is the magistrate at the law court, maybe perhaps can able to consider. With that also, it has not yet yielded results. We hope that probably it might be also assist, because this is our direct measure on the court, on the overcrowding reduction. I just also wanted to highlight on the month of June, we had about court referral total of about 831 and only 11 outcomes. And this, you can able to say, it's only maybe another way where we can do was that we wrote through the National Commissioner, do an exchange of name list with age analysis to each province through the national office, to ask NPA, to ask South African Police, that they need to assist the judiciary, either oppose or not oppose the application based on that. They need to look at whether there's a multiple case. If there's a multiple case, definitely those inmates will not qualify for court referral application and a favorable outcome. But if those that have already passed 63A and 63A capital in terms of the head of the center as referring bail review and also considering the length of detention, combining those two can place them for the probation officers supervision or correctional service officials supervision. That is also something that we're trying to do to our level best, but all the regional commissioners are sitting at the PEEC meeting, DEEC meeting, REEC meeting in all the levels of the case flow structures that we are currently having, presenting, taking also examples of our court application submission, which I've directed to say they must also take example so that it can be able to be checked. Where is it that it's not moving? But not to say we want the court to make a decision that is not within their law or within their jurisdiction. We just want to say if this act needs to be applied, let it be applied accordingly. Just to move quickly now without wasting time, slide 17 on the 62F, which is the Criminal Procedure Act, and this specific section direct that there is we are able to take the accused, the court can able to place the accused, which is the remand detainees, under the supervision of the probation officer or the correctional service. And this, you can see the past 3 years that it has a very low number. If you were comparing the 49G length of detention application, averaging, we were sitting at about 2,000. So if you take out of 2,000 and then you look at 2022, 2023, Eastern Cape had 37 placed under the supervision of a probation officer and or a correctional service officer. And Free State has been doing well for the past 3 years because they are above, they are actually doing more in terms of their courts on the side of Free State and on the side of Northern Cape together with the Justice Department. But that is also followed by Limpopo, the highest is Western Cape, followed by Limpopo, and then followed by Free State and Northern Cape on placing all the accused or remand detainees under the supervision of the probation officer and so on. These are some of the categories based on length of detention. Some are based on the bail review, that they don't afford above 1,000 bail, and then the courts then, after the application or also during the submission, do able to say this. But however, this not always being utilized by the courts in relation to respond to the 49G. That is what we analyzed during the last year's assessments to say there is a need for 49G and 62F, read with 63A and read with 63(1) to actually being utilized for reduction of overcrowding. But however, our courts are not so much reluctant to place people under supervision of correctional service officials, because the number could have been higher if it was a house detention. And some of the reason is that communities are also not welcoming people coming back from prison while they were expecting them to be detained. We found that it's what is the feedback from community correction to say, when we're following with the cause, to say there's not much of a good understanding within our society to have a house detention of people who are qualifying for 62F placement. This more, I will indicate that the team that's supposed to be influencing much of 62F under our cluster is our sister department, NPA. So if NPKA can assist with conditional bail conditions, additional conditions of placement of accused or RDs under 62F, the number can definitely go very well because it's a Criminal Procedure Act process. So I just also wanted to show that KZN is the lowest in terms of our financial year 22-23, followed by the Gauteng, not Gauteng, Eastern Cape, then not doing so much well there. And then 23-24, we are having KZN having 241, and the highest being Free State and Northern Cape having 391, which is the highest, and then the lowest being Gauteng in terms of not the reluctant of having RDs placed under or accused placed under supervision. So that is the lowest. Again, on our year 24-25, we are now by having a total of 768, and our Western Cape was one of the highest in the region in terms of accused being placed under 62F, which is community correction and also probation officers. I just wanted to highlight here, at least we have seen under the financial year 24-25, the KZN was the lowest, then followed by Gauteng in terms of the placement. But you will have already seen that Eastern Cape improved the judiciary there on the magistrates and law courts division. We're able to place 102. This is as a result that the National South African Police did go and camp in the Eastern Cape, working with our regional commissioner last year during the time when there was a high increase on the accused or RDs through the arrests that were being made. I would like to move to slide 18, section 62F for Q1, which I've just added, so that you are able to see how we are doing since the beginning of this financial year. The grand total for April is 903, with Eastern Cape not having any accused being placed under 62F. And then having Limpopo, which is LNM, being placed under 62F, a total of 487. And if you compare 62F, their 62F is doing well, but their 49G is not doing well in terms of the application. And if you move again to Free State, Northern Cape, leading with 95, KZN leading with 63, and Gauteng having 49, and then Western Cape only 9. And May month, we are still seeing the, again, 487. It's not a typo. It is the total of the month of May this year on placement of 62F. Some are house detention. Some are actually doing conditional bail. Some are doing work in the communities in terms of while they are waiting. Some are waiting trials while they are on condition in terms of 62F for Limpopo. That is what we also observed during the month of May. If we move to the month of June, as at 30th June this year, we had Western Cape leading with 312, and as in terms of the placement of 62F, accused or RDs, they're no longer RDs, they're accused. The place under 62F is 312, followed by Limpopo, Mpumalanga Northwest, 143. In our own analysis, we have checked the locals and division. We realized that they are better to apply 62F than to apply 49G on the issues of the direct measures on reduction of overcrowding. KZN is the lowest in terms of only 11 as at June were placed under 62F, and Eastern Cape has gradually now improved through the task teams that are currently being working with all levels of our case flow and also court referrals and also the interventions committees that we are currently having. So I'm going to just highlight as part of supporting the statistics. The Chief Justice sits twice in a year in terms of the National Efficiency Enhancement Committee. The DCS, it is also participating or sitting at the Chief Justice Forum. Our National Commissioner, he is sitting there. He did take the 49G, the 62F in the last meeting, which was the first in this year. And he recommended some of the intervention on the issues of the courts to start improving on the response on the court outcomes. So we are looking forward that in the next one, we might get a better positive response going forward. If those interventions on the improvements and the action plans recommendations that were done can also be looked at. And at a level of chaired by the judge, we want to indicate that the is a NOC, which is a National Operation Committee. It's a coordinating structure. It does have targets. This is administrated by the judiciary. What we do, we only participate at the lower structures on the specific one, which is in line with the NEEC meeting. It's what prepares for the NEEC. It's under Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. We also, through our regional commissioners, here I was just referring earlier on that all the regional commissioners are participating on quarterly, and some are even going monthly just to sit with the judge president to say, I have a backlog, we need to reduce the overcrowding within the correctional service. Through the reports of name list and the statistics, court referral application, and also submissions which the department does in terms of reflecting the numbers of inmate population when it has exceeded the bed space in terms of the monthly and the quarterly. So they sit on the quarterly, but they are also having further engagements, especially with LNM. They've been doing monthly. So you will find that in LNM, our RCs goes to attend in Mpumalanga. He goes also go to Limpopo and Northwest, and to make sure that all our statistics, all our submissions on the overcrowding, on 49G, on 63, and all other sections within the Correctional Service Act and the Criminal Procedure Act on 63 are attended to. We also sit. I'm also participating on the EEC with support of the supporting each regional commissioner, while the national commissioner is supporting all the National Efficiency Enhancement Committee, and we further sit on the regional, which is the REEC. These are the area commissioners within the correctional service. They are playing a role there. in terms of identifying what are the weaknesses, especially with 49G. The weaknesses is that SAPS must oppose or SAPS must support. NPA must also either agree or not agree, oppose or not oppose, and further when it goes into before the magistrate or the judge, if they are able to apply their mind with that. So they are highlighting all of those deficiencies and inefficiencies issues and that so that they can be identified. So this is one of our case flow structure that the DCS is participating. All the head of centers are also sitting at the district one, and then also we've got the LEC one. I did not include, that is where our case flow officers are also sitting there, and they are the ones that are also on the monthly and weekly, highlighting to say they've raised the following in terms of the submissions that have been made. I just wanted to highlight who are the stakeholders within the structures of the NEC, chaired by Chief Justice Meyer. I've highlighted that we form part and parcel of that. We have already also recommended that Home Affairs, it has to come in, especially with foreign nationals on the structure, and it's happening now. They are part and parcel of the structures, including the health department. I'm moving quickly with the page 21, just to reflect on the NOC and all the structures that I spoken to. I'm not forgetting the Legal Aid South Africa. They are also working with the DCS very, very well, because we do indicate that if there is a need for a legal representative of 49G to be at that affidavit to be engaged on the ones that are representing the RD or the accused, they come in, they support each region, and they are working very closely with us. And I also participate on the department participate on the Intersectoral Committee for Child Justice. Earlier on, I spoke about 71 children that are unsentenced that are within our facilities. You will find as an example that the LOD, which is the length of detention, it affects one or two of the children. In the case of KZN, where a child has murdered her grandmother at age 14, and the court is not able to hear the matter, especially in that case of KZN, and the child is now 17. We consider that it's already above 2 years. A court referral was made, but the child does not qualify because it's Schedule 7, it's a murder. So we do table it at this sector. Our DG, which is National Commissioner, is sitting in here. He is supported by myself, together with all the reports that we submit. And in terms of the implementation of child justice, we are able to be raising it at this level. At the regional structures, the regions, all of them, they are participating on the Child Justice Forum, raising 49G, raising 62F, so that the governance structure that are in place are to able to look all the issues that are child justice matters at that forum, especially with the statistics trying to get to reduce overcrowding. That also include all other functions, which I'm not going to detail much on slide 24, is just to explain what those two governance structures that are also parallel working on dealing with the issues that we are tabling in terms of our data that we submit, exchanging with the Cluster Sisters Department when they are also monitoring the child justice and its framework. So I am quickly moving to slide 25. In terms of the direct measures, I did speak to the direct measures on the 49G to say there are a few challenges on the 49G. Part of the few challenges is on slide 25. is that not all RD detained have an option of bail or qualify for a court referral. Those, as I said, the categories of Schedule 7. It can be murder, attempted murder, sexual offense matter. Some of those are also not we are not able to apply because they have to be detained. They don't qualify. There's not option for them. And I've aligned the exclusion criteria on the bail protocol in line when you apply also for G9G. If they do qualify for a referral, they may not actually qualify because their nature of crimes that they are admitted in our facility. I want to be honest, lack of feedback, Honorable Chairperson, from the court is one of our biggest challenge. This is what our also National Commissioner has been trying to engage the DOJ, which is the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. At the cluster level, he has also been reflecting to say, let them consider the interest of justice on the court referrals and indicate what is the outcome of each application rather than just sending it back. Some are not stamped, we have to send back. My apology, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chair, our apologies from our side. I'm not sure whether it's a network. Can you hear us, Honorable Chairperson?
Yes, we can. I can hear you. I'm not sure. Members, are you able to hear? Sia, are you able to hear?
Yes,
We
yes,
can
we are
hear, Chair,
here.
so Chair.
Well,
Okay.
fine, Chair.
But it does stop at some stages, but we do, when she talks again, then we can hear. So
Okay.
we don't know what the interruption is about.
I think it's issue of your network there by the boardroom, Ramulifu.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. It's the challenge of the network. So I was still just talking to the challenges. Part of the challenges is that you will also note that there are social factors. Affordability remains a challenge for those that cannot afford, even if there is a bail reduced to 300 or 500, but they can be placed under 62F. That is what we have sponsored to indicate that place them under 62F. They must go and clean the sewers. That they've been granted, and considering 49G, the length of detention. Why will I say that? Is because the cost of keeping an remandee at 400, about 400, remains a big challenge. Every day, there's health support, there's issues of perishables in terms of food support, issues of us dressing them, providing all what the law requires. And if a bail is less and the length of detention is actually higher, in terms of about 2 years, they can do societal district model services if the courts are able to reach to that. But that we've submitted through our Honorable Minister, our National Commissioner, to the reform on the criminal procedure to say if the criminal procedure might allow the judiciary at a law courts to make the determination of placing 62F with additional conditions that are direct to service delivery in terms of cleaning toilets, sewer in the public hospitals or on the public areas being supervised either by South African police. But those are some of the things that went through to our submission to the legal reform to say maybe they might have to look at that. We still to get the feedback once the process of legislation is being. All those who are Schedule 7, we are in agreement. We cannot have them referred because their cases are a sort of nature that cannot even risk to have them again in the society. The other one is, I've already mentioned that our MC also was emphasizing consideration of interest of justice on the factors that might not be known by the cluster, but if further inquiry by the judiciary can be done on the application, that part can assist them to address I also want to say on the issues of 63, because it also can assist the length of detention after about 5 years and RD being in our file, is the RD not giving a consent. They are
I'm worried now.
Challenge on the side of RDs, but we follow the law and do the court application and refer them to court. But there is also a lack of court referral on a court feedback, positive feedback or court outcome that is able to assist us on reducing overcrowding. The specific one which I wanted to say, the common feedback on 49G is just one line, continuation or continue detention. That's what you will get. They won't put any other reason to say it's of the interest of justice that this person must be detained. And they just write continue. So what we do, we will ask the RC, head of the center, all the levels to say, can you go further and ask if the continuous detention cannot be placed under 62F on your next application, may you not do it in that way so that maybe they can. But also when we are discussing with the DOJ court administration team, we were saying to them, it's a difficulty to just say continuous detention. Can they put factors or other reasons? Because looking at our own submission, the cost of keeping the RD, the nature of the case, it might require that the person can be detained outside in terms of house detention. But that is what the statistics I was trying to explain, that the challenges which we are not having high numbers of feedback. There are contributing factors, Madam Chairperson, that are also contributing in terms of case not being finalized. The number of cases that are length of detentions are referred because the South African police will have pending investigation. Some of them, of those who are qualified, we then send the DNA to do the DNA finalizing of that. They will load it in the system, but you will still find that the IO will indicate that there is pending investigation. The docket, it doesn't have the case reports or the docket. Some issues of changing, if we are now currently asking the legal representative of Legal SA to say, can they also want to do a physical appearance? so that they can be considered for a bail for a 49G and or 62F. And you will find that there are challenges. There are multiple cases. Some they do have multiple cases. They don't definitely go through. Corrective action on slide 26. This is what we have done so far together with the DOJ and the Cluster Assistance Department. They have, through their Honorable Minister, have established a National Case Backlog Committee. We have had our first meeting in the month of May, where we were able to bring again to the committee that there is a need to fast track the finalization of cases before they are even 2 years. If that can do, cases are finalized before 2 years, our length of detention 49G will definitely have a reduction of numbers. We will not have an RD who is 10 years in the facility waiting. In the case of Senzo Mayo, we could not do a court referral for them. It's just an example. We are strengthening time through the leadership of National Commissioner, the collaboration of interdepartmental in all those structures that I've shown. We are even having an overcrowding task team meeting on monthly, and also trying to make sure that the implementation of the measures of those who qualify is also being processed by the courts. Future court application, we wish to see a 49G correctional service submission to the magistrate being done electronically. That is the future medium term to long term that we want to say, at least the magistrate see it, because we're still doing it manually, but it requires all the cluster assistance department and a budget for that. If our national commissioner can be considered for an additional budget, the IT can expand the bedware and then it can be linked to the magistrate if the magistrates are also able to welcome the proposal, but it's already been submitted to them. A continuous monitoring of 49G submission. We do that also for the portfolio committee when we do our quarterly appearance on our performance review, and the annual, we are reflecting that even for annual report and quarterly reports and monthly reports, we are, and all other structures, we are doing the M&E and also the monitoring of that. But the cluster now, the integration of the cluster system to monitor the outcome and the progress of the cases. That is something that I wish to say. This is a corrective measures that one will wish to have the whole cluster, even our portfolio committee and the Justice Portfolio Committee meeting for these specific court outcome issues. But further to that, MPA and SAPS and other cluster assistance department are also doing their monitoring in line with Correctional Service Act and also the Criminal Procedure Act 62F. Chairperson, I have actually reached to the submission of the presentation by the Department of Correctional Service. Over to you, Acting NC and Honorable Deputy Minister, Honorable Minister, and Honorable Chairperson, and all the members of the Portfolio Committee. I thank you.
Acting NC.
Honorable Chairperson, that is the report from the department. I will then hand over back to the Honorable Chairperson for any interaction on the report.
Thank you so much, Acting NC. DM, any addition from the executive?
No, thank you very much, Chair. Once more, I think what is key is that our presentation, it shows that we are challenged in terms of the results that we desire to get as the department, with those structures that are set, that are presided over by your judge president and some judges. and where, as correctional services area commissioners are pushing this little bit of progress, which the meeting with the Minister of Justice, it is key, like she said, to say we must find a way on how we deal with these matters and those bodies sit. And I think that is a push that it will assist the department. But where we were, the presentation presented us well as a department. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Diam. Minister, any addition on your side?
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I think this was quite a comprehensive submission. I don't think I can add anything, but what I want to say, I think the honourable members must just take note. Yes, we have our challenges and they can for sure be improvement. But if I look at slide 25, take note of the case-related factors that contribute to the delay. Like, for instance, presence of co-accused, changing of legal representatives. Those are also challenges, and we know what is happening in our courts these days. And I mean, a presiding officer cannot make a finding or cannot give a sentence or whatever the case may be without the, so for instance, co-accused and everyone like that. It remains a challenge, Honourable Chair. But let's say this is one of the ways to see how we can deal with our overcrowding. I always say when we talk about overcrowding, it's like a puzzle, and there are small pieces that must complete the puzzle. So this is one of them. So that is from my side. I have nothing to add further. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
Thank you so much, Minister. Members, we have received the report with regards to 49G and 62F application process. And we had received the report in advance, so we would have gone through the reports and where we would want to seek clarities, especially after CDC Ramulifo had taken us through thorough, word by word, even expatiating to even further express and how the process works and the delays and the challenges that the department is facing with regards to this process. So I would then now note hands for comments.
My hand is up, Chair.
Clarities. Your hand must be up. You must not speak. Your hand must be up.
Oh, okay, Chair.
Okay, in that instance, Bab Gasa, you'll come in. I see your hand. Honorable Sokopo, you'll follow. And then Honorable Moela, you'll follow Honorable Sokopo. In that order, Bab Gasa.
Thank you, Chairperson. Not sure if I'm audible enough.
You are
Thank
very
you, Chair.
audible. Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you. I'll start with the issue of overcrowding in inmates population. And the data reveals a staggering national inmates population of 163.17G, with remand detainees constituting a significant portion. Despite the DCS's emphasis on reducing overcrowding, the numbers suggest a systemic inefficiency. So now, the high percentage of inmates serving sentence above 15 years exacerbate overcrowding. Yet the DCS failed to propose concrete solutions for long-term sentencing reform. So my first question is, given the unsustainable inmate population, what specific legislative or policy changes is DCS advocating for to address long-term overcrowding, particularly for lifers and those serving extended sentences? Then coming to Section 4GG implementation, why do certain regions like Gauteng and Eastern Cape persistently report zero success rate for Section 49G applications? And what corrective measures are being taken to address these disparities? Then, coming to the issue of judicial and systemic delays, the document highlights delays due to court backlogs, witness no-shows, and legal representative issues, while DCS mentioned the National Efficiency Enhancement Committee. There is no evidence of its impact on reducing delays. So the lack of integration between JCPS cluster system further undermines accountability. So the other question I have, what measurable outcome has the NEEC achieved in reducing case backlogs? And why hasn't the DCS implemented a real-time tracking system to monitor court outcomes for remand detainees? Then coming to child incarceration, the report also highlights note 71 unsentenced and 41 sentenced children in detention. Yet, Intersectoral Committee for Child Justice appears inactive. No data is provided on diversion programs or rehabilitation efforts for children. And this is contradicting Child Justice and Child Justice Act principles. Then the question I have for that, why are children still being detained alongside adults? And what specific diversion or rehabilitation program has ISCCJ implemented to reduce child incarceration? Then coming to the issue of corrective actions, what specific timelines, budget, and performance indicators has DCS set to ensure these corrective actions are implemented? And who is held accountable for failures? And the last question I will have, given the systemic failure outlined, will the DCS commit to an independent audit of its remand detention policies and publicly report on progress every quarter? I thank you.
Thank you so much, Babkasa. Honorable Sokopo.
Well, thank you, Chair, and greetings to the leadership led by the Minister, Deputy Minister, and honorable members. Chair, I have just 2 or 3 questions. I welcome the submission and or the report. What are the quantitative impact? What quantitative impact that Section 49G and Section 62 have on reducing overcrowding in DCS facilities? Question 2, Chair. During the detention of these RVs, at what point are the RVs flagged by DCS for consideration under Section 49G? And how are these referrals prioritized? My last supposed question would be, Chair, what systems are in place to accurately track the eligibility of remand of RDs for Section 49G as applications, especially in cases of interrupted detentions? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Mwala.
No, thanks, Honorable Chair, and greetings to the Minister and the DM in the platform. Greetings to the acting NC MC and the presenter and everyone in the platform, honorable member. I think, Chair, to note, the issue of overcrowding remains a serious challenge that we continue to face in our centers. I think the sooner the CJS, or most particularly Justice and DCS, commit to that waking meeting where they will look in all these challenges that are facing the centers, most particularly with remanded detainees, the better. I think the meeting that the DM is talking about, that it has been long anticipated, I think it must just have to happen so that they commit to some of the solutions that will be long-term solutions to these occurring problems that we are facing in our center. Let me just indicate that I've got few questions that I will need clarity with regard to the presentation which was made here today. The first question that I need clarity on, Honorable Chair, is that can the department explain the measures in place to ensure full compliance with Section 49G of the Correctional Service Act regarding the 2-year detention limit for remand detainees, as indicated by the presentation? Then the next one will be, how does the department distinguish between Section 62F and Section 63(1) applications? And are there any policy or legal obstacles that prevent the direct use of Section 62F in this particular regard? And can the department provide details on the volume and success rate of Section 49G applications on the past 3 financial years, and what impact have this had on the affected this Section 49G application? Can the department outline how it collaborates with the National Authority and the judiciary to ensure timely court appearances and to prevent procedural delays with regard to these procedures? And I would also want to know how many remanded detainees are currently under the hands of the probationers or probation officer to date, in terms of numerical order and the numbers. How many are they that are under the probation officers up to today? So that will be my questions for now, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Moela. There is no other hands, members? Okay, it seems there is no other hands. Can I also have few clarities that I would want from the presentation and the further elaboration that CDC Ramolefo would have made when she was presenting. Are you able to provide clarity on how Section 62F of the Criminal Procedure Act is currently being implemented in practice, not in theory, but in practice, and whether standardized protocols are being followed to the latter, so that it becomes effective? And at what extent, or what are the engagements between DCS and the Intersectoral Committee on Child Justice in terms of monitoring the detention of child remand detainees? That would be my second clarity. And then I think the last one, it would be on seeking additional support. Have you ever made consideration for legislative amendments or interdepartmental interventions? Or do you have as a department? Or if you do not have, do you require them to improve on effectiveness of these legal provisions so that they are able to reduce the backlog on remand detainees. So those are my clarities with regards to the presentation. Minister, I'll hand over to you.
Chair, my sincere apology.
Yes,
Hello, Chair.
Mrs.
Sorry, I'm challenged technologically this side. May I be given a chance to ask? I have two questions.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, let me just ask. I just want to understand from the department. There's an issue of temporary release of the inmates that are released temporarily to police station in the meantime. Say, for example, I need a practical clarity on how these things work, because say an inmate, a remand detainee, has an interruption where upon he's released and sent to police stations, then while in incarceration without actual interruption of his incarceration, what happens? Maybe let me give an example so that I'm clearer. Say an inmate is in custody for 18 months. After that, he's sent to police station for detention. Then he comes back. On the system, he would have been admitted for more than 2 years, for example. What is the department doing with such individuals? Because clearly, in terms of their system, the admission would not be 2 years full. It would have been maybe 18 months first. It's interrupted to the police station, come back and spend another year in the. How would the calculation go, and what is being done, especially in relation to departmental coordination of such individual detainees? I'm not sure if I'm clearer, but I just want to check, because I realize in terms of the Correctional Act, a detention in police cells is taken as an interruption of some sort. I hope they understand. If not, I can clarify further. That's the first question that I'm asking. And then the second question, on corrective measures, department spoke of modernization of future court applications. Can the department clarify on what measures would they use to modernize the future applications they would be having? Maybe they would have some progress, because clearly from the report that they've given, Section 49G does not assist in overcrowding, considering the responses from the courts generally. Not only Eastern Cape, Gauteng, but also recently in LNM, there's also such a problem. So can the department indicate to us what modernization they intend are applying?
Thank you so much, Mrs. Diale. There's no other hand, members. Okay, Minister, you can come through to respond.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Chair, I'm not going to respond in detail on specific questions. It can be answered by the team. I just want to make one remark. I think it was the Honourable Gaza said that there's a lack of strategy in terms of overcrowding, if I understood him correctly. If I did not, so it's all right. But I must say that, I mean, we had a presentation only on overcrowding in detail with the portfolio committee, so we engage in that strategy as overall. You will remember that. But there are specific questions, and let's hear from the department, the acting NC and CDC Ramarolivi, whether they can respond to it. If they cannot, then at least we must provide the statistics specifically asked. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
Thank you, Minister. DM?
Thank you very much, Chair. I think let's allow administration to lead us on these items, but I must indicate that these are provisions in our Act to say once a person has served almost 2 years, as a department, we are obliged to apply. But where we are applying and we seek approval, we don't have control over. Hence, we said those engagement between the two ministries and also with our commissioners, it's very, very, very important so that they can assist us in that regard. But also noting that it depends on the cases they are in for, because some they cannot be released because of the nature of the crimes they've committed. But I must indicate that also the issues of your section 62F, where it makes a provision to say a detainee can be under a supervision of an official. It is what we were battling with, because you are correct, honorable members, to say it's not making any positive outcome. Hence, we must push so that those bodies can sit and take decisions on that, but will allow members of the department to respond, led by the acting NC. Thank you.
Thank you, Diam. Acting NC and your team in the boardroom, you can then proceed to respond.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I will hand over to CDC Ramolifu to start with the responses, and will assist each other as we continue responding. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you, DM. Thank you, Acting National Commissioner Matiba. And thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. I would like to respond as follows with the first questions or clarity that was also raised through Honorable Gaza. Firstly, I would like to record that the latter, which is the Correctional Service Act, makes provision on the life sentence and also the sentence categories. But we would like to record that the part of the court sentencing, it is the judiciary and the Department of Justice responsibility in terms of sentencing of the inmates. But within the Correctional Service Act, there are processes like the parole system, which is currently under being reviewed, that also assist in terms of managing the sentence categories on all the various levels of lifers. And further to that, on the policy side, we do have an overcrowding strategy. The Honorable DM has already just spoke to it, and also the minister talked to it, that the overcrowding strategy was presented to the Portfolio Committee. One of the direct measures within that strategy, it is 49G, which is having the measure of referring the court application to referring the application to the court for those RDs who qualified within 2 years period. I just wanted to indicate that aspect. We have participated in submitting the input to the Criminal Procedure Act review on the part of the application to strengthen the powers vested to the judiciary to say, if they are unable to make an outcome of a continuous detention positive feedback, they can ask for a further inquiry. This is a legislative process of court in terms of submitting an affidavit, which is prepared by the head of the center, together with the name list register, together with the supporting document from the Correctional Service that is attached to each application to the court. So if you are not even meeting the standard of court, they will reject it. They will not follow the steps which we are doing. But because we are following the steps of what the law is asking us, we are able to make those submissions. For a long term, what will be required is the criminal procedures to have a regulation specifically for these direct measures. Further to that, it is what the portfolio committee, what the cluster has recommended, that an interdepartmental or the intercluster target or KPI on overcrowding be developed by all the sisters departments, while the correctional service is at the end, and while it does have the IOP, the TDI, and the APP on this 49G, which I would like to acknowledge the support of the portfolio committee when they approve the annual performance. One of the new implementation of 49G is at that highest level, and this was tabled before the portfolio committee, and now it's on our business plan after all this time when we did not have. So it's a big achievement for the department, for us. But for a long term, for Honorable Gaza, is that each department from judiciary, they need to have a target linked to the inmates who are above 2 years within our facility. The NPA, it needs to have the target. The South African Police, it needs to have a target. And the consolidation of that will assist us to say, we're not pushing from the back, but we are assisting the system in terms of that. That will be our part of the corrective measures towards the implementation of 49G, in line with the overcrowding, in line with the procedure on the manual. That is part of the section that specifies that the National Commissioner may, with the National Director of Prosecution, issue a directive, which is part of the procedure of the head of the center. Each head of the center practically complete a court referral on behalf of the inmate for a 2-year period, send it to the court. But our hands are limited, as our Honorable DM mentioned, that the courts on the law court side, they need to make the determination. I'll move to the question on the children within the correctional service. The children within the correctional service are only the children who are in conflict with the law. There are those only, if you can see the number, it's just only 71 children who are under remand and 41 who are sentenced. And those are those that when we had presented before, the sexual offense, when they've raped, the 12-year-old raped a child and it's a minor, and those are the categories that we keep. The responsibility of children is social development for those that are under social development. So what we take to the cluster on the intersectional committee, in line with the implementation framework for the Child Justice Act, the Department of Correctional Service will then table those cases of those children, those that are sexual matters offense, and those are other schedules of Schedule 7. We always take them to that committee. I can tell you that committee is very effective for the department, because in the past years before, we were sitting at above 1,000, but after 10 years, through this Act of Child Justice, through the implementation framework, we are only having 71. And that 71 on the monthly basis is influenced by social factors of our communities, where you will find children killing people or children committing a crime beyond what the police, beyond what social development and the family rejects that child, and it's because it's in conflict with the law, has got charges are within our facility. The issues of budget. Yes, budget is one of our challenge, which we do wish to find that if we are allocated enough budget on the part of accommodating, especially if in the long term we can able to have funding that can build another Johannesburg remand facility that can have enough bed space. So we need budget for the bed space so that we can increase the accommodation for all these crimes that are committed coming through the courts, and then we have to detain them. So the daily expenditure for each inmate, that is what our impact on 49G, we feel it more to say, the more you have 2 years times by number of months or daily cost in our facilities, and they qualify, but they're not being given a good outcome. It costs the department on medical, on issues of housing, on bed space that we do not have. And the impact again is the Saldanha judgment of the court in Portsmouth, where the case of Portsmouth, where they said you can't go beyond 150. So we need the collaborations with the department for short term and medium term and long term. We do have those indicators that are in place, and my counter colleagues on the facilities, they've mentioned already our input that we may want to see at least 2 new facilities that are modernized centers or remand facility or correctional facilities being built for us, so that we can take almost all those that are coming in through the court to our facility. So the budget will definitely be required, because if it's above 2 years, it means that the bed is occupied for more than 2 years, food and also all the costs towards the keeping the RDs who qualify for court consideration for 49G. That's why we mentioned earlier on to say the criminal procedure amendment will come greatly for the DCS if it also allows the conditional conditions from prosecution and also from judicial. I'm going to move to the question on the part of the practice on the application of 62F. I want to indicate that the Criminal Procedure Act on 62F, you have to read it with 62, where it says the court may add further condition of bail. Then it zoom into 62F. So which means practically you will have exhausted your 63, you will have exhausted your 63 where it's an inmate and the legal representative also applying for a bail review. And then on the 63, it's a head of the center upon when they pick up that the Johannesburg is overcrowded, then they will then apply for a bail review. Parallel to that, you find that the whole 2 years or 18 months or 21 months has reached, still there's nothing. And then you kick in your 49G. Practically, you do your affidavit certified by the head of the center on behalf of the DCS with supporting documents. Some of the supporting documents is those motivations that are done by a security to say this remand has not attempted assault or has behaved himself very well while awaiting trial. The medical record, the address must already be confirmed by an investigating officer, gets to accompany those submissions. In most of the cases, you'll find that it was already in the form of the J7, so those are already in for submission. It goes to the clerk of court. Here, the clerk of court plays a very critical role. What I wish to say is that they will then, the clerk of court, stamp our receipt of submission and then bring the proof to us and then leave the application. Then the court manager, director operations, and also the judicial committee in within various law courts will then sit. Sometimes they don't sit. They will just process it to the presiding officer or the judge or the magistrate, and they stamp it after when they've written the note, continue detention, remain detained, and some they just stamp and sign and return it back. Those are some of the things that we pick up. We practically then elevate those cases that are there to be saying, But if you're saying continuous detention, this person was not was qualifying also for a bail for 1,000. He has already have 500. Can you practically consider it again? Sometimes they will not even consider that. So the practical experience on the side of the court is that they might, which I'm just saying, it's a legal practice that needs to be reviewed on their system, on their side, because ours is just to submit. And then if they don't consider, that is when we are having a overcrowding, because this is one big element of saying to reduce overcrowding, your 49G it becomes your direct measure. So we need the courts, we need NPA, we need South African police. When you read it, it does explain that they can oppose, they can agree. And if they don't say anything, the judiciary can't do much. Most of them, judge presidents and the magistrates, presiding officer, that's what they say. And when we were also engaging in different levels and platforms. But it's a practical journey that I may wish to ask through the acting national commissioner or the national commissioner and the minister that a portfolio committee gets to do a visit with us to the courts to experience how they are within upon receipt. And where their court clerks are not so effective, that's why you will see the few challenges. Just on the seeking of support and the interaction, those forums are not the only forums. We got the CMA, which is our case management committee, which it meets also weekly, not necessarily monthly. That is at operational level. I only highlighted much on the strategical level that they are doing also follow through. Because even legal representative, they do approach the remand head and says, we want to check how far is your application for our client on the court referral. And we do give those feedback to say it's not being supported by court. We will be the court order says further detention, and then we are continuously detaining. Because if you read at the application form for court 49G, it says that the presiding officer, upon receipt of the court referral application, will make a determinate decision based on what is before him. So that's where I think our request for support will be, because we are limited, because judiciary is independent and we can't force their hand unless otherwise other systems within the cluster in terms of the criminal procedure kick in for them to do inquiry. So we do have the MNE in terms of our policy on the MNE that we are doing, which is monitoring of these cases. We don't wait for the court. We do it on the monthly basis. It's supported practically with a name list, age analysis. Our age analysis is like from 2 years to 3 years, 3 years to 5 years, 5 years to 6 years, 6 years to 7 years, 7 years to 10 years, 10 years to 15. And the one that you will see on the 15 is the sense of mayor. It's not moving. We had one, which I will remind the portfolio committee, you were with us in Model B of the case of Zondo. We immediately actioned that again to ask prosecution and also South African police, what is the hold of this specific case? And the NPA, they could not indicate whether they could not prosecute or they could not consider or they could not oppose. We then went to SAPS through our national commissioner, who wrote to the national commissioner of SAPS on that specific one that we had, and the portfolio committee, we have these cases, and this one, it was also mentioned before them. We would like to know what is happening. We will want to see all the supporting documents, whether the docket for 10 years is there, all the evidence. But as I'm speaking now, the outcome is that Zondo is sentenced. He's no longer in Johannesburg as awaiting trial for 10. With all those court referrals that we were doing, as I've referred, is just a practical example that will just assist to refresh the portfolio committee when we visited Modaping, when Johannesburg was presenting. This was one of our 49G, which you had to hear about that. So I will also want to cover the issue on the determination of temporary release. On the temporary release, it's in terms of South African Police SAPS 127. There is a protocol on temporary release, and then which the investigating officer under the detective services during the time of being detained, they can come to the correctional service, follow all the application, request an inmate to conduct a further investigation. They will take that inmate to their police cell or whatever house, safe house, and they do the investigation. So when you get that, it's already, if the application was submitted, it interrupts because there is other new developments upon that case, which the investigating officer, upon returning back, the inmate will have submitted to the application, which either oppose or detain the inmate. So practically, it's a form that is completed with number of supporting documents, gets to be released by a head of the center under the supervision of South African Police. It cannot exceed even more than 3 days. If it goes for more than 3 days, it must have been motivated to not more than 7 days. And our policy is very clear. If there's going to be a court appearing when they are retaining, they first come back to the correctional service. They move from us to them, not necessarily from SAPS, so that we can make sure that there are no escapes or wrongfully released to the South African Police. And that we are monitoring on a monthly basis, and we're dealing with those ones. On the modernization, Mr. Diale, on the system, Honorable Diale, on the modernization is that we have been observing and working with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development that some of the high court cases and the cases, you are uploading them on the system by the lawyers when they are doing other cases. So we were saying, if 49G court application, affidavits, those supporting documents, we can also automate the 49 application, because we currently have the RD tool, remand detention tool. It shows all the heads of the center, because I'm able to utilize it here at the head office to say all of the ones that are due. It calculates the first day of admission. Automatically 21 months reaches. The head of the center is already now aware that in the next 3 months, this person is already supposed to be having all the documentation that must go to the court. So the RD tool internally is our operation system that we are utilizing, which also help the regional commissioners, the area commissioners, head of the center, the case management team, case officers, on everyone. We also have a parallel one of IMS. You will see all your 49Gs there that are overdue, in terms of overdue, meaning that your 21 is now ready, and then you must by within 3 months already apply. The last modernization system is our own LOD. We call it a length of detection, but we nickname LOD. LOD is a tool that we are utilizing that monitors who is due, who qualifies, based on your J7, all the documentation that are uploaded on the system. It will show that this one is due. So there is no way that you will have those that were due that were not referred, unless it also indicates the schedule and the age analysis. It's automated in the way that it calculates the day stay and until your monthly. So you will have monthly period recorded that shows there. and we can submit a sample framework for that. I will want to go to the chairperson on the issues that should seek clarity on the latter, especially the referral in terms of the enabler, which is our 62F. I will want to be practical, Madam Chair, that the 62 Criminal Procedure Act, specifically subsection F, is one of the enabler on the following. It says any court before the charge, with a charge that is pending, which is and remand detainee, with either a bail granted at any stage, or whether the bail was granted by the court or any other court on the application by the prosecutor. You heard me emphasizing a lot of MPA. This is the part where the condition of subsection F comes in, that the application by the prosecutor add any further condition of bail, which is a bail added with a condition of placing an accused under correctional service. So the department has a community corrections. Under community correction, we've got designated community corrections officers who are the monitoring supervision. Further to that, practically, in some years back, we also added the electronic monitoring. We were able to say, once a prosecutor has added a condition, this can be under the tag those days. But now, through our National Commission, I want to indicate that we are in the process of getting budget and also be supported to have this section 62F applied with an electronic monitoring system. This is where our protocol on the electronic monitoring system reads together with this one. But I want to answer also the question on the totals of 62F for the honorable member was saying to date, what are your figures? I had prepared slide 18 that talks about June, as at June, the Department of Correctional Service remandees or accused who are placed under 62F, the total is 719. He further says if we can do the breakdown, the breakdown is reflected on slide 18 with the highest of Western Cape with 312, and then with the lowest of KZN with 11. So Eastern Cape 109, Free State Northern Cape 90, Gauteng 54, and then Limpopo, LNM, which is Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and Northwest 143. And I will summarize by saying the engagement on the interaction. It's the forums that are regulated in terms of the white paper on remand detention, further read with the Correctional Service Act and the regulation and the procedure manuals on managing 49G and also 63 with its, both of them with its own protocols. And if you go to the protocols, there is articles. The DCS, it's got its own article, and then the MPA subs, all the clusters. So if you want to check the interaction is coordinated by the articles with all the cluster department have signed on them. And that interaction is reported periodically and then annually, monthly, and then also quarterly. We have just enhanced on the weekly. Internally, we also do our NOC, we do our quarterly reports to the National Commissioner at the national level, and the regions are doing that. And through the APP, the IO annual operations plan also, we are actually on the system able to report. As I recognize the approval of the APP, this first quarter, we are already due for the reflection of quarter one, which I was also talking to, which is also on the system. And the facilitation of arrangements by the department is on Article 5, the role of MPA on the interaction with us on this 49G, Article 7, the Article 6 for MPA, and then we also have Article 7 for the South African Police, which I was talking about. They can vanish information through the investigating officer for further continuous detention. That comes from that article. Practical is done through when we are making the submission in the court. Article 7 is the role of the presiding officers, and that is where we are saying if they can apply this criminal procedure 49G of Correctional Service Act and also Criminal Procedure 62F using this article, somewhere, somehow, there can be changes that can happen. But the pressure is the crimes that are committed. Some are not assisting us, because if you look, the overall of 49G is sitting at around about 3,000 or 2,000. So if you subtract that, the 55 that I've presented on the inmate population, it will be just only 50 on the 49G, then another on 63, and another 2,000 on 63-1. So those roughly plus or minus 8,000 can be processed through these legislations that are being implemented now. I want to say the review of the criminal procedure will come handy for us, for the judiciary, the presiding officer, to do an inquiry to make sure that Article 6, Article 7, Article 8 is being applied accordingly, because that is where the bigger challenge. I want to talk about the quantitative as in closing on the impact, and I've already presented on the number part of the impact. The impact is that there is an increase of overcrowding in the facility. There is also the issues of the numbers, the availability by space in terms of the total numbers of those RDs who are qualifying for 49Gs influence the overcrowding. Again, on the impact is the issues of budget. If our Honorable Minister can receive enough money, this 3,000 or 2,000 of the previous year, which some we are still heavy, they need to be taken care of. And he always said he will not want to find that they are hungry. So there is food that is provided, there's clothing that is provided, there's also a nutrition. And on the food, honorable, on the medical, honorable members, you will find that they are getting the best service because they are further on the impact required if there is a health challenges that cannot be dealt internally. They have to be transported to the external hospital. And that extra taking them to the extra hospital, it requires petrol, which is fuel, which is the cost that is additional above what the DCS will have been catered for. Taking the 49G who are sick to the hospital is not the South African police. So it's a van that goes with about 4 people to the hospital to take that person because he's sick. And then this application was also declined because he's medically not able to be referred, doesn't anymore qualify. The mental observation ones, the states, we also exclude all of them. So the quantitative impact, affects the budget, affects the bed space, which is the accommodation. We do need 2 additional accommodation facility, maybe one in Giyani, one in Johannesburg. It might be greatly to say, or any other environment will able to assist us on that. So on the last submission on the measures of compliance, 49G, it's a legislation that if you do not comply, the judge, president, the presiding officer, the magistrate do issue a court order. It's unfortunate that we have not received any court order that the inmate was due for a referral was not, because we are referring. So on the compliance side, we are complying with the protocol, we are complying with the Correctional Service Act, Criminal Procedure Act 162F, and also all the other supporting documents, because you can't do without compliance on 49G. It's a legislative regulated part of our function. But if it can be funded, that would be great. I will lastly say it is a mandate that is within the law, but unfunded in terms of the creation of the legislation. This 49G was not given enough budget, because if it was given enough budget, this is what our National Commissioner is saying. Affidavits are done by legal officers, and our head of centers, we have trained them, some of them, to make sure that the affidavit complies to the court, meets the standard of submission. So what the National Commissioner did further was that he was going to engage the DOJ, which he has done, if practical legal student or legal internship program can come in on the side of the courts and sit with the clerk of court to assist them where they are getting our application. Probably when it reaches to the presiding officer, the Justice Department will have made sure that SAPS opposed or MPA opposed or they agreed. So the compliance part, it's on if judiciary can comply to our Correctional Service Act, read with the criminal procedure on 62F. If MPA, their prosecutors, they can take that clause of 62 read with section F into practical way of applying the law. That will be the last one is on the independence. We want to indicate that every quarter, every month, we do our submissions. So the independence part, we already have the portfolio committee, we already have JICS, we already have the Auditor General, especially on 49G. They always check all our work on all the regions in terms of submission. I wish to submit, Honorable Chairperson, I wish to thank you.
Acting NC, any addition?
Honorable Chairperson, I've been following through all the questions that were made, and I realized that CDC covered all, and as a result, we didn't have any further comments on what she already presented.
Thank you. DM?
Thank you very much, Chair. I think I'm okay with the responses that have been provided. They were really in detail. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, DM. Members, were all questions answered? You don't have any question that was not answered? Okay, all questions were attended to. Any follow-ups, members, or more clarities from the responses that we would have received? Okay. Then it means DM members were satisfied with the responses that they would have received, and all their questions or clarities would have been responded to. Then would wrap up with the department. As I indicated, we have two sets of the meeting, which was with the department, and then we'll have our own meeting as members to adopt our own outstanding minutes that we have, so that we start the third quarter on a clean one with no work from the previous quarter. I'll wrap up in this sequence with few recommendations that were put into the department. We do welcome the engagements or the bilateral meetings between the Executive of Justice and Correctional Services, and we hope that those meetings do sit frequently to try and mitigate those referrals that are made to courts or magistrates, so that they get to be attended to, or they bring a success rate that is conducive to deal with the issue of overcrowding or statuses of remand detainees. Whilst we equally, as the Portfolio Committee, are waiting our day with the Minister of Justice, will then depend on the Executive to be able to deal with those matters when they do meet the Minister of Justice. On placement under correctional supervision, the department needs to capacitate and improve the functioning of community corrections so that the courts can equally have confidence in the system and be able to be to place more remand detainees under correctional supervision. So if our systems and corrections are not efficient enough, courts will not have confidence to be able to put remand detainees who especially have lesser crimes under correctional supervision. So we need to make sure that we capacitate and improve on our functioning of correctional community corrections to be able to allow us, the courts, to be to place remand detainees under correctional supervision. And then on the outcomes of Section 49G, especially the Eastern Cape, it's a serious concern for the committee. We'll equally raise this with the minister if we have our day with the minister, because it seems, as things stands, I don't know whether we're going to have a day or not, but we will further remind the minister to give us a day in the third quarter when we come back from recess to be able to deal with these referrals under the Criminal Procedure Act and Correctional Service Act. So we then, DM, would hope that in your engagements with the minister, you would be able to equally raise on this, on the Section 49G, especially the worrying factor of the Eastern Cape, on behalf of the Portfolio Committee. But we equally would do the same when we have our chance with the minister. We will equally, as the committee, continue to monitor the progress with regards to implementation of your corrective actions that you would have alluded to in your presentation, and further emphasized when you responded to clarities and questions that members would have made. And we'd also, as the committee, will also zoom into these applications and outcomes of them as and when you appear before the Portfolio Committee during your quarterly and your annual report. So it does not end today. There will be further engagements as and when you appear before the committee, especially when you report quarterly. And lastly, on your annual report, which would be the BRRR process. And then the last part would be on the amendment of the legislation, especially with regards to 49G. Anything that speaks to our part as the department and the Portfolio Committee that we equally need to amend legislation to be able to strengthen it, to assist in the effectiveness of these applications. We equally need to do that on our part. Where it does not include us, we need to lobby those departments or the executive DM of those departments on some of these applications, especially when they have a dire impact in the department with regards to remand detainees, equally to the scourge of overcrowding that the department faces and battles with every day. The current population of 163,179 of inmates, it's a worrying one vis-a-vis the bed space that the department has, and especially with remand detainees. You are currently sitting at 55,000 remand detainees out of the 163. So in essence, you have around 101, 110 are those who are sentenced. And then the huge chunk of it gets to be taken by remand detainees, whilst you are battling the 49G, the 62F, and 63, which we equally are trying to play our part as the portfolio committee. Hence, we have invited the Minister of Justice to be able to take us through those applications and referrals, and perhaps come up with remedial actions on how to mitigate them in future, but would then depend on the executive DM on your engagements with the minister as and when you meet, and would appreciate that when you do meet, you equally come back to the portfolio committee to give us at least a report on the engagements, how far are they, and what would be cordial remedial actions between the two departments in trying to mitigate these referrals. So those are our recommendations to the department with regards to this matters. DM, any parting words before we can allow the department to excuse us?
Thank you very much, Chairperson and members of the portfolio and the entire department. We appreciate as the department to come before yourselves and remain accountable. Like when you were wrapping up, you issued some recommendations. We shall report as requested in terms of our quarterly report and our annual report, and also making sure that once those meetings have taken place, the portfolio shall be briefed accordingly. And we appreciate, Chair, that you have given us an opportunity to give you a report that is very, very, very detailed by our administration, and we shall remain as a department accountable to the portfolio committee. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you so much, DM. Once again, thank you so much, colleagues from the department, as led by the minister, who had to be excused at 11:30, based on the apology that would have received. And now left, and whom are led by the Deputy Minister. Acting NC, Ms. Ramulifo, CDC. I don't longer see Ma'am Andronica there, but thank you so much for availing yourself, including those of the department who are on the virtual platform. Thank you for coming through to the portfolio committee, availing your time and engaging with members honestly and giving true reflections of the current status of what is happening in correctional facilities. The meeting with yourselves, as led by the DM, stands adjourned. Will remain as members to proceed with ours. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair, and goodbye.
Chair, I think the minister has left.
Yes, yeah.
Should I flight the first set, Chair?
Hmm?
I have to find if I can flight the first sets of minutes.
Yes, you can. Are we only having members?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, let's proceed then. Members, the last set of the meeting is to adopt our outstanding minutes. So that we then, when we start the third quarter, when we're back from recess, we then would have the only minutes which would be for today's meeting. And other minutes would have been processed. The minutes would be taken as read because we would have received them in advance, all of us. The draft minutes for the Portfolio Committee on Correctional Services, which sat on the 8th of July, 9:30, it was on the virtual platform. It was briefing by the Department of Correctional Services on progress on the implementation of the Audit Action Plan, including measures to reduce irregular expenditure and consideration and adoption of committee minutes as well. You can go down here so that members, where they want to amend or correct, be able to raise and correct. So because of would have received it in advance, it gave us time to be able to go through it, and where we think it's not properly captured, be able to indicate so that the team led by Matabata and Sia can be able to correct it for us. So that we adopt minutes that are a true reflection of what transpired in the meeting of the 8th of July. Members, those are the minutes. The meeting concluded at 1:15. Are we noting this as true reflection of what in terms of deliberations and engagements that would have transpired on the 8th of July as a true reflection of the meeting? Members? Basasekhona siya.
Maybe members have network issues, Chair. Our meetings are normally on Tuesday.
Honorable Chair,
Yes, Honorable Claude.
I can confirm this is a true reflection. I hereby move for the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you. Any seconder?
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Babgasa. The minutes of the 8th of July are duly adopted and serve as a true reflection of what transpired on the 8th of July. We can then move to another set of minutes. Draft minutes of the Portfolio Committee on Correctional Services on the 15th of July, which was at 10 o'clock, because when we normally sit physical, we sit at 10. And when it's virtual, it's 9:30. And the venue was at Mark's Building, M314, where we got a briefing by the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure on disputes between the two departments, which is the Correctional Services and Public Works, on user charges and other identified issues or matters that we had identified oversights that would have conducted, which were in KZN and Gauteng, and that necessitated that we invite the Department of Public Works to then be able to take us through. So the minutes would be taken as read because we would have received them in advance. So members then would be able to raise where it's not correctly captured or where they need to correct, or whether there are matters that were missing as part of engagements because they had time to be able to go through it. So yeah, you can go down. I'm not sure, I must ask our assistant to go down. Thank you, Sia. Were you able to capture all those 10 or 12 questions of Engelbrecht, Sia, in the minutes?
Chair, Honorable Engelbrecht, remember the committee agreed that they will be sent because they were quite bulky in terms of the background. So we did send the questions, Chair, to the two departments. And
The department has not yet responded.
No, Chair. Oh, Public Works, they said they would respond today and we'll make a follow-up after the meeting. They have not responded, but we did send to both departments.
Okay, thank you. Members, those are the minutes for the meeting that we had with Public Works in Mark's building on the 15th of July. Are those minutes serving as a true reflection of what transpired in the meeting in terms of engagements and deliberations? Honorable Hendricks.
Good afternoon, Chair and fellow members. Chair, I don't see my name in the minutes. I came late to that meeting from a plenary. Ide and good hope, ma'am.
I remember I saw you when you arrived. So yeah, let's amend the minutes. And I hope you sign the attendance register.
It will be corrected, Chair.
Yes, Chair, I asked for it, and one guy in the corner referred me to him, and I did sign it. Thanks, ma'am.
Okay, an addition of your name would be put. Members, with that amendment of Honorable Hendricks to be added, are we confirming minutes?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you, Mrs. Ngaba. A seconder? Seconders, members?
I second, Chair. I second. Honorable Moela. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The minutes are duly adopted as a true reflection of the meeting, with the amendment on Honorable Hendricks to be added as part of attendees who arrived whilst we're in session. There are no other minutes here. I only saw 2 when you sent me.
Yes, Chair, it's only today's minutes that is extending. We are done in terms of minutes.
Okay. Yeah, obviously we can't adopt today's minutes. We'll have to do it when we come back from recess. Members, when we come back from recess, we're expected to have a strat plan of the portfolio committee, a strategic planning session for us to be able to plan for the 3rd and 4th quarter of the portfolio committee and have a 5-year plan which would break it down annually. And this emanates from the Parliament strategic plan being fully adopted and now being populated to portfolio committees in terms of priorities and that are set. So I'm raising this background so that members will not be surprised on the week of September the first week of September, when a schedule of a meeting, we are trying to persuade the chair of chairs to allow us to sit for 2 days, to be able to invite all stakeholders to make presentations, so that equally another day can afford us to be able to deal with our planning as the portfolio committee. For now, we are getting only 1 day, but we are still trying to persuade the chair of chairs. But once that affirmation or confirmation has been given, either a first day or second day. If it's a first day, it means our proposed agenda will be compressed, and it might be a long day starting at 9:30 and concluding around 4 or 5. A preferable venue would be in Parliament. That week will be given as a committee week. There would not be any plenary, on a basis that all portfolio committees need to do the strat plan as a directive from the chair, the House Chair, Honorable Frolick, and therefore there will be no plenary in session. So in that instance, I'm not sure whether they will do buses, but if there's no buses, as the committee will then need to transport members to and back from villages to Parliament and back to villages. So I wanted just to formally inform you so that you don't get shocked by that week and what we are going to need to do. But any further documents or details would further populate through the committee secretary before that week, so that members are abreast, and any additional documentation towards the strat plan, receive it in advance to be able to engage thoroughly in that meeting. So this is what we're adding. I thought I can relate to members. Sia, do you want to add something that I might have missed or forgotten, Matabata?
No, Chair. You've covered as Chair. In terms of the what we were planning to do, Chair, is that we will then engage your office chair to say how will the strike plan, and also maybe engage your office in terms of who must be invited, and that information will be communicated to the rest of the members. But we'll try and get those details and develop that plan as quick as possible, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Sia. Members, with that, we are fully on recess, and I think all of us will go back to our constituency offices when we are on recess, but would be engaging as and when there are issues or there are crises with regards to the department, or the urgent things that requires our attention. We would communicate through the committee secretary. Like the committee secretary has indicated, we are anticipating to have a new researcher in the committee, because we don't have a researcher. So members must not be shocked when on the first week of September we have a researcher. Parliament is busy finalizing its processes of appointments. If all goes according to plan, the new researcher would start with the team on the 1st of August. So you might not be able to be introduced to the new researcher, but you'll be able to meet the researcher the first week of September when we meet for the strat plan. So the team will then work out, do a breakdown on how the strat plan should be and who should be invited. And once all that information has been agreed upon and we have gotten an approval, we'll then populate to members to ready themselves for the strat plan. So please be safe and stay warm. It's still cold. And let's have fruitful activities or programs in our constituencies during recess, and hope we come back, all of us, safely back on the first week of September when we resume our responsibilities in Parliament. Modimo le badimo ba tsamayeng le lena ba nne le lena ka nako tsotlhe. The meeting therefore stands adjourned.
Kanimambo.
Oh, please, man, please, please.
Please,
Right.
don't do that. Don't do that, Chief. Don't do that.
Goodness.
Recording stopped.
Sia, you and Matabata then will have a discussion later on this thing.
Yes, Chair. Where's Mpo?
Yes.
Ah, Umpogu recess. Sia,